Coming down, so I think we're just about ready to get started. We'll wait till just the clock switches. We got like less than a minute. So just restarted the timer. Okay, we're there. All right. Oh, you got that. Good.
I got the better one.
All right, so thank you for coming. My name is Brian Hymer. I work for Quest Software. Been with them for about 20 years. We're doing a customer story. This is Chafic Menayrji.
Chafic Menayrji. From John Hancock.
And we're going to talk about the move to the modern login experience and how that's gone for John Hancock.
All right, excellent. All right, so just a little background on who John Hancock is, for those of you who are not aware. It's a very old organization, a little over 150-year-old, wholly owned by Manulife in Canada. Basically, it's a large financial institution. The market cap a little over $30 billion now. We operate in multiple geographies and multiple markets across Asia, part of Europe, and very big operations in North America, with over $1 trillion in assets under management. So we did gain that trust from our customers, so we always have to maintain that confidence. Last year, Manulife had a record year in profitability of $4.8 billion. So, you know, we're going on strong, and we are a top 10 Azure consumer from Microsoft. We are, in fact, the #1 consumer of Azure in the financial vertical and #6 across all industries. So we have a very great partnership with Microsoft, helping us advance our business objectives.
So what are those objectives?
So really, our company motto is decisions made easier, lives made better. And how do we get there? We are an organization, like I said, a very old organization. We're trying to find ourselves in the 21st century.
Yeah, so, and one of the things you had shared with me, Chafic, is that Manulife is transforming the company into a technology company that sells financials, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me about that a bit.
Yeah, so the philosophy of a financial institution with a lot of history, positions us, with a great brand, but at the same time, we have to appeal to the new marketplace. And we are really trying to see ourselves now as a technology organization that happens to sell financial products. And to make that philosophical shift, we have to make it at every level of the organization, and it starts with technology.
Well, and you had talked about the Asia marketplace, and that's really streamlining your efforts there.
Yeah, so, the way we do business differs between one market and another. Our Asia operations are very high volume-based sales. So we typically focus on streamlining and reducing our unit costs by leveraging economies of scale. And in North America, it's about fighting for market share, and because North America is less much of volume because it's a saturated market, and the growth market is really in Asia. So trying to strike that balance, you can definitely see it, especially in technology, and I'm pretty sure many of you probably share this. When we try to budget for certain markets, expenses go up and they go down. For instance, I can go to my CIO in a small country in Asia and ask them for a $20 million budget if their whole sales organization is $20 million a year. So we have to find and strike that balance.
Why don't we go to the next slide and we'll see. Yeah. This is where Manulife operates. Oops, back up one.
Oops, let's double click here.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And you can see a great deal of Asian businesses. We're gonna toss out some T-shirts. And by the way, if you see us do this at all, or we're having a hard time with the lights, we can't really see the crowd. So if we do this, it's not because we're trying to be cool or anything. We just we want to see you guys too. A lot of businesses here. We were gonna have a T-shirt toss for how many countries do you think Manulife works in? But a couple of those are a little unusual, like Hong Kong and Taiwan. Are those separate countries still? Depends on who you talk to. So we decided to leave that one there. Did you want to share anything else on here?
We currently operate in 20 markets. Some of them directly through company-owned, some of our subsidiaries, and some of them are through acquisitions. So we're gonna talk a little more about that piece. The organization trades on the public markets in 4 different exchanges, 2 in Asia and 2 in North America. And currently we have a little over 34,000 employees and counting, direct employees, including our agents over 110,000. And our customer network is well over 28 million at this stage.
Wow, wow, that's great. Great sized company. So what have been the major challenges for you that you faced moving in this transition to the cloud?
Yeah, so we, like I mentioned earlier, we tried to grow in 2 different functions. So M&A and organic growth. So organic growth is fighting for market share. And M&A, you know, we buy a company, they're an established company, they have their own, you know, technology stack, infrastructure. And how do we consolidate? How do we integrate these new organizations with ours?
Anyone else facing that type of challenge in their organizations? I see a few hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an industry-wide challenge when it comes to M&A. So I think part of the problem is we end up with duplicate infrastructure, whether we like it or we don't. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, a lot of redundancy.
Another key piece is some cloud SaaS applications, especially enterprise-based applications, you know, have limitations or have had limitations that require a single identity source to function properly. And when we start thinking of enterprise architecture, really everyone is trying to realize that economies of scale by reducing their footprint. We don't want to be an organization that gets, you know, death by paper cuts. So as a result, we had to really solve a problem where we had multiple acquisitions, multiple infrastructures, multiple forests and directories, but at the same time support those key applications.
Right, right. And you, as a company, made a decision that you weren't going to deal with a multiple tenant environment. How many people are using multiple tenants within their organizations, and how's that going for you? Is it good?
See, 1, 2, 3.
Bad? Is it? It's like, yeah, they're putting their thumbs down. So that's what I expected.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
All right, so the other part of this is the evolution of applications to support SSO capabilities has really pushed the envelope towards, you know, we as IT practitioners have, you know, the bar is raised, and in many cases, the budget and the associated funding did not necessarily increase in tandem. We're always asked to do more with less or do more with the same. And how do we continue on adding that value? And SSO, I mean, for everyone that's around here, I'm pretty sure SSO is a technology we all want to get to, but it's very difficult to achieve.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about SSO.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good.
The other challenge is when acquiring a new organization is about how do we manage privileged accounts in the organization? Because you know, it's about when you buy another organization, you're thinking of culture. Does the culture fit? Do we have one IT person who has rights to everything, or does everyone has rights to everything? So how do we manage that, and how do we really incorporate it with an established and well-oiled organization? That's another challenge that we had. The other piece of this is user self-service. So onboarding and provisioning, for every organization that we acquire, they have their own onboarding procedure. They have their own licensing procedures. And how do we solve for that problem? That has been a challenge. On paper, it might sound light, but the fact of the matter, the complexity that comes with it is enormous.
Yeah, that's a big effort. So this is a diagram that we put together that shows kind of half of what Chafic's been talking about. In a little bit, I think this doesn't quite do it justice. We have this red circle over here that says 13 regional domains. So if you can imagine 13 domains that you're trying to work through and move those, go ahead and Chafic, and into your global domain so that you can have that single tenant up into Azure. That's been a big challenge for you. And you're not really marketing that as a migration, right?
No, absolutely not. So I think the goal here is to focus on outcomes, not on technology. So SSO, you know, the basic premise of SSO is a single directory that has one single identity provider and that basically authenticates to all your different applications and tenants. While in reality, that's a very difficult feat for many of us. We definitely are one of those offenders of that philosophy. We have got to a point where the magic happens in the background here. So we have multiple regional domains, but this is where the magic happens. We have a what I call a sync engine. There are many products out in the marketplace. In fact, Quest does have one of those products that helps achieve a single identity scenario, which in many cases ends up being a single identity that we can at that point take on to multiple single sign-on type of applications. So Azure AD is a big one there. A couple of hundred applications in the Azure AD space that authenticate against Azure AD. ADFS, for those of you who embarked on the federation early on in the process. And access to server-based applications the traditional way, whether it's LDAP-S or anything else, you still have that capability within that single identity expectation. Again, the focus is outcomes, less so on the technology. If I show this to security professionals or technology professionals, they would say that arguably this is not SSO, but the fact of the matter is the outcome is SSO. So I think that's a key differential there.
Right, and what I loved was the way you're marketing this to your end users, right? Because you're not saying, how many people tell their users they're going to have a migration and get a bunch of boos, right? Right, that's a big thing. So the way they're marketing this is, listen, I know you authenticate 10, 15, 20 times a day to get to the applications you need to use. If you want to move to the modern logon experience, you'll only have to authenticate once a day, and everything will be available to you. So that, to me, was a very compelling part of your story.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part of this is when we start thinking of what our customers want, to actually get to that level, our customers want to make decisions faster, right? To make decisions easier. And for us to achieve that, if we don't, my customers are my employees and my agents. So if I don't give my employees that experience, how am I going to expect them to be the proxy to have that same customer centricity thought process with my paying customers? So with that, the desire and the push is to move into a single identity provider in the form of Azure AD altogether. Without further ado, let's move on to the further slide.
We're going to do a t-shirt toss here. Zero Trust. How many of you know what Zero Trust is? I got a few hands. Good.
Up there, yep.
Do you guys have a Zero Trust model? Are you moving towards a Zero Trust model? If you are, stand up if your organization is moving towards Zero Trust. One guy in the back. Are you guys moving towards Zero Trust? Oh, yeah. So this probably resonates really well with you. Awesome. Cool. Well, that's our winner right there. Thanks, you guys. That's great. Let's talk about what Zero Trust is for those people that didn't raise their hand.
All right. Let's move on. Fact of the matter is, it's user and device authentication and authorization. When we traditionally think of identity, by default we go into thinking of users. So this definitely changes the paradigm because now devices are considered part of the identity space. The next thing is our focus is really to leverage an IDaaS, in this case Azure AD, at the core with conditional access policies. Combination of leveraging PKI, multi-factor authentication, which eventually provide us the two-factor authentication. I saw recent numbers that if you have two-factor authentication, it reduces your cybersecurity threats by 99.9%. So I think that resonates well across the industry. And in terms of management, Microsoft Intune and SCCM are the core of that device management. I've been to several sessions this week, and I've heard that over and over again. The key there is this will be the conduit for consolidating your mobile and your physical PCs, virtual as well, obviously.
So Chafic, I work a lot with our own IS department at Quest, and we are adopters of our own technology. So right now, we're in the process of moving everyone to the workstations not being domain joined in our environment, and Intune is one way that we're going, but we're also using our case solution.
Absolutely.
We like to digest our own stuff there. So let's go on.
All right. Passwordless authentication. I think we've heard this week, and for at least for a couple years now, that passwords are going away. Windows Hello is definitely a key part of the strategy. For those who are not familiar with Windows Hello, basically a seamless authentication experience to leverage, to avoid using just passwords, right? The what you know factor is becoming more and more obsolete. So to solve that problem, biometrics is at the center of our solution. And when it comes to biometrics, there are two schools of thought on biometrics that we kind of go back and forth on. Vaulted password, so you use your thumbprint or your face or whatever it is to actually unlock a safe that stores your password in some form of the what you know and then injects it in your application, or the direct impression. So the school of thought there is, well, the direct impression is definitely more secure, but if your direct impression gets compromised, you can't have another impression, right? I mean, that's your face, that's who you are, that's your thumbprint. So
which way is John Hancock going?
So we are in the process of considering both, but it depends on the system that we are trying to secure, which takes me to the next part, which is tier authentication. So for a system that is, we have some treasury systems that we do like, billions of dollars of transfers a day. For those, we might actually consider more than just two-factor. We might consider three-factor authentication, the what you know, what you have, and what you are. So we use, a combination of biometrics, combination of, the device you have, like your mobile phone as an MFA, and a traditional password. So that's part of the conversation there. And in terms of tier authentication, we have to be careful because, we do have individuals who are entitled to be privileged, to have privileged access in certain systems, like say desktop administrators. But those people would not have the access to have server administrator rights, and vice versa. But obviously, this is a first step towards a more secure environment.
Right. Yeah. Anyone else challenged with that and passwords and multi-factor, or anyone moving away from passwords? I've got one hand, you can see. Yeah. Two. That's a few in the back too. Yeah, I think it's a big move. I was at a conference last year that they talked about passwords must die, and multi-factor is definitely something you have and something you are, is what a lot of companies want to move towards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right.
All right.
So what's this? So this is your nirvana for John Hancock?
Yeah. So believe it or not, that chart we had up there earlier, which had so many boxes, and for the record, that what represented more than 90%. We summarize it basically. It had a lot more. Was like more of a fishbone. We expected to end up looking something like this. And the fact of the matter is, we see ourselves going 100% cloud authentication. We don't see on-premise as a viable option anymore. Wow. Are we going to get there this year? Hell no. Are we going to get there in? Are we going to get there in 5 years? We'll talk again in 5 years, but that's the eventual state that we aspire to.
I'm looking up at the dictation at the top, and they stopped on that word you just used. I don't know if they're going to put it up there or not, but I'm sure Microsoft loves this long-term vision. I think this is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do another T-shirt toss. And I guess I asked this question, so that was bad of me, wasn't it, Dan? If you are moving away from passwords, could you stand up? And are you currently? I've got one person, two persons, three persons. Are you currently? Oh, the guy in the back. I don't want to give two to one person. You wouldn't want two anyway. Are you currently doing this? Is this part of your? Are you implementing now zero passwords, or you are? You somewhat. So what are you? 10%? I see.
When I log into out of web access or so on, I have my device with me, and then I do not need to enter password.
So registered, trusted device, and are you doing that through certificates?
Authenticator come up, and then I have to select the number that is showing in the browser, and then I'm in.
So so is that for your whole company? Are you doing that for everyone?
For the whole company.
And you're fully implemented. Anyone else fully implemented? Wow,
I see
so
a gentleman up there, and
kind of implemented.
gentleman up there, yeah.
Are you guys fully implemented too? What about the gentleman in the back? Back in the very back? Yeah? Well, that's two, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could just go ahead and do that. We have another shirt toss, but I'm personally very impressed that you guys are there already. So thank you. And
The two gentlemen up there.
this gentleman here, right? And then there's one in the very back, I think. Okay. That was pretty awesome. Is it my flip? Okay. So we wanted to talk lightly about security, compliance, and challenges in the hybrid world. So there's a big organizational cultural change, and I don't know if you're experiencing this now. You probably are. You know, it used to be, focusing on protecting your boundaries, right? Protect the perimeter. And now it's more about identity security. Why? Well, today, I think in most hybrid environments, people aren't really attacking Azure. They're attacking on-prem. The bad guys are getting a hold of credentials for somebody that is a global admin in Azure, but he's not getting that by going through Azure. He's getting that by being on-prem and then working his way up. Just looking at my notes, sorry. Without multi-factor authentication in Azure, this is a big problem. So hopefully you all are using multi-factor in Azure.
If I may, just by a show of hands, the use of on-premise multi-factor. Anyone on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's another angle that should be considered. For those who don't have on-premise multi-factor and you still have on-premise infrastructure, that's another thing to consider.
Right. SIEM analysis versus machine learning. I think in today's day and age, SIEMs had their position really in perimeters, in network flow, in watching the perimeter. Today, you need to watch behavior. And so if you're not using something that can watch for behavior in the log data that you collect, you're kind of missing. You know, how do you tell when something's anomalous? It's like finding a needle in a haystack, only the haystack is the size of the Empire State Building. Right? You need to be able to weed through that data. So machine learning is becoming much more important. I think Microsoft's keynote talked a lot about that too. And lastly, if you guys haven't seen these yet, the new built-in AAD roles, have you guys seen that? Anyone not heard of the new roles that came out? Oh, good. Everybody's really in tune. That's not a pun. But that's really good to know because I think those roles are going to change the game a lot, especially a global reader. I can use global reader a lot with even our lab environments.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely took advantage of that piece. Especially the newly released stuff from Microsoft, there's a function for password administrators. So if you are really in a true Azure AD environment, you don't want to give your help desk global admin rights, right? You just want them to change the password for if somebody calls in. So that kind of changes the paradigm significantly and secures your environment much better and more seamlessly.
And I love that password administrators cannot reset the password for another password administrator, which, back in the day with domain admins, I used to always ask people, do you have people in the domain admins group that shouldn't add anyone else to the domain admins group? And I'd almost always get a yes. And if that's true for you on-prem, a domain admin who's also a global admin, guess what? Any domain admin can become that global admin, right? Scary thought.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're going to skip this t-shirt toss just because I think we had a great answer from the last one and we gave away the last of our t-shirts. But if you want a t-shirt, come by our booth. Tomorrow we've got what I think is the coolest t-shirt. So we'll skip this one for now. Top challenges around compliance, reporting, and auditing. So really the question is, how do you stay compliant? How does it relate when you're doing this whole migration effort, especially things like OSFI?
Yeah. So OSFI, for those who are not aware, is the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutes in Canada. Again, like I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, we are a Canadian-owned company. And that's one of the major regulatory bodies that is fairly new, and the compliance requirements are very strict. I mean, like, if you think in SOX and HIPAA is bad, give OSFI a chance, and you change your mind. So to keep up with those regulations, like one of the key things is whatever technology or data that we own that's going to traverse anywhere in any data center, we have to have physical access to that data center. So imagine our cloud providers, that becomes a problem.
We had that problem, didn't we?
Yeah, so that is definitely a problem. And we actually were considering, again, this is not a marketing pitch for Quest, but we were working with them on helping us a solution there with ODR. And they basically found out it's an AWS environment, and Amazon would not authorize us to walk through their data centers if we had a legal hold or something like that. So we had to work with our partners, and we told them, look, it's got to be Azure, otherwise we can't do it. And took some time, but they got there, and OSFI was happy, and we move on. So regulations for many people see it as like a challenge, or this is so annoying. But when we start thinking of business strategy, the key thing, there are basically 4 pillars of business strategy that we function as. And one of them is high barriers to entry. So how do we fend off some of the disruptors in our marketplace? We see regulations as an advantage. We can fend off our market share by having more regulations, because we basically are able to be compliant. This means a new entrant, they might have spent a lot more time and money to be compliant and be able to play in that field.
Yeah,
so
I'm
that's
trying to see if the financial guy up at the top of the hall there, if he's nodding his head on that one. I found that a very interesting part of our conversation, that more regulation can actually help a larger institution because they're capable of doing it, and a smaller institution couldn't. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So the next piece of this is too much data. I mean, that's a challenge we all have. We were playing around with ATP, Advanced Threat Protection from Azure, and in one day we got like 15,000 alerts, and I'm like, I'm gonna have like
one day, one day.
And I was looking at it, I'm like, there's no way that we can get through this to have any meaningful insight.
That's that haystack I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and do we really have a real threat? I mean, so I pushed it off to my cybersecurity team, and they were like, all right, thank you for letting us know, but thanks, no thanks kind of thing. So we have to like figure out how to manage the amount of data you get, and that many data sources.
Right, and one of the things that I find is very interesting is how many people actually audit activity on their workstations? You audit activity. There's a few people raising their hands. How many don't? How about I ask that way? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Where do breaches begin in your organization? On the workstations, right? And if you're not auditing that, you're not really seeing it, right? So I find that very interesting, but I understand too, because it's a great deal of data. So how do you get that comprehensive view, right? We talked a little bit about the security assessment.
Yeah, so getting a real comprehensive view is important, because you have all many different data sources. I have a saying, and I'm not sure if it's going to even get transcribed this time, but a fool with a tool is still a fool. So the fact of the matter is, if you don't have a proper way of managing all your data sets and all your tools in one place that you can actually make a business decision, to use it as effectively a decision support system, the data means nothing. And you need to be able to visualize it. You need to be able to relate the business objectives and risk management per se with that data. We have a couple of products that we use. One of them basically tells us if there has been any changes to specific groups or changes to admin rights in different areas or privileged access. So we have that tool set in place that notifies us, but sometimes you get overload of data. How do you manage it?
By the way, if you want to see that tool set, come by our booth on the floor later. We can show you that. Shameless plug.
Yeah, so and when you have that much data, so there's a capability within the Quest Security Assessment that we recently had, and it gives us the ability to see beyond just the data, to make sense out of data. So by show of hands, how many of you here are familiar with VAST?
A few people.
All right. Yeah, VAST is short for Visual Auditing Security Toolset from Microsoft. It's a Power BI-based application. So we are consumers of VAST, but also we are consumers of the Quest Security Assessment. And there's a great degree of overlap, but we found that with the Quest Security Assessment, there were a few key things that are important for us to know about. So first one is unconstrained delegation. That's a big deal. For those who are not aware, this is one of the key areas that attackers are able to basically hijack an object and then spoof it. So that's one of the key areas. Also help us identify that we have thousands of groups with no members.
Almost tens of thousands of groups. Anybody have group sprawl problems? Yeah. I happen to know one company that starts with the letter Q that has more groups, or used to at least have more groups than users. Anyone have more groups than users? Yep. Seeing hands raised for that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. Another one is finding that we have some service accounts, which we all need service accounts, that their passwords haven't changed in over a year. Again, another security challenge and risk management. And the one last item that when I saw, I kind of had a moment. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we are an organization that grew through M&A and organic growth. With M&A, we always think, how do we really get to migrate your users to have that seamless experience? So SID history comes into play. Yeah, so with SID history, now I could tell, all right, well, I have X number of objects that still have SID history enabled, and we have to do something about it. Because guess what? On my next acquisition, or if we get acquired, that's going to be a major problem. That could be a business problem.
Yeah, cleaning up ACLs is so important, and if you leave SIDs in place, you're leaving yourself open for SID history in place, I should say. You're leaving yourself open for exploits. So I think we talked about this on the security assessment when we did it. I think we need to take an extra step in our security assessment and look for SID history that's matching the SIDs of the domain that you're in, because that's a way an exploiter can actually grant himself permissions to things that don't belong to him. So we need to close that door too. What I found interesting too in that is that those pieces, VAST didn't bring those up. So, and VAST is from Microsoft, and so why? Sorry, I had to say it. So, domain admins, right? How many domain admins do you have and how many global? I actually talked about that a little earlier, so we can skip over that. And then the ATP example, yeah. Okay. This is just an example of one screenshot that we get from our security assessment, and this is showing password. This is not John Hancock Manulife, just so you know. Okay,
we aspire to be this good.
Yeah. So you can see, we just very quickly point out, how many users do you have with accounts that are older than, okay, I'll tell you this is actually a lab environment that we use, and I have about 4,000 test accounts in that lab, so this is pretty believable, actually. But we do graphically show that information, and I think visualization of data is the best way to consume data, because I can immediately see that there's a major problem here. I don't have to read any numbers, I don't have to even understand English. I can see that there's an issue, so I think that's really important. So I wanted to throw in a couple other things that I thought were worthwhile to share. Privileged use. How are we doing on time, Chafic?
You doing another 11 minutes.
Yeah, okay, good. How do you show privilege misuse? Failed authentications is a big way, right? It's somebody that's trying to brute force or password spray. So you should be watching for not just failed attempts on an account, but failed attempts from the same IP address on multiple accounts. That's another good indicator. Massive account lockouts, unusual date time or IP address for that user. You know, it's somebody in North America, and for some reason they're authenticating at 3 in the morning from China. Maybe there's something wrong there. Massive changes to AD or permissions in general. It could be AD permissions, or it could be file and folder permissions, especially if they're deny, use my little pointer here, especially if they're deny type changes. I think any deny type change that happens in your environment, file system, Active Directory or other, should be reviewed because that's a great way for a company to get locked out, is to have denies. So if you're watching for permission changes, you should be alerting on deny changes. Changes to privileged groups and accounts, and we could talk about the built-in privileges, right? The built-in accounts in Active Directory, but I mean, these could be business accounts too if they're trying to gain information from HR or from your accounts payable systems. You want to watch those highly privileged groups that have that sensitive data. And then the use of unusual tools, and this is where we get into monitoring your workstations. You want to make sure that the average user isn't running something like PowerSploit or Mimikatz or some sysinternals tool. And if they are, you should be able to take action immediately to shut that machine down. So who's using these and where? And of course, you're going to find people that do have those privileges, right, that are allowed to do that thing. And so you need to be able to filter that as well and allow them that access so they can still do their job. Hopefully it's not a pen tester. Okay, continuity planning. I did a presentation last year. How many people were in my presentation last year? Anyone? A couple? Yeah, nobody. We did a presentation on forest recovery, and so I thought I'd share this slide again because it was probably the most popular slide in the deck. There's really phases, 3 stages to forest recovery, and that is restoring systems from backup, and then configuring those systems, and then enabling those systems so they come online and people are able to log in. I said 3 with a question mark because the 4th phase might be, if you're doing this manually, to then expand, right? So you need to at least get 1 DC up per domain. You want to go ahead and get those machines up and running and then expand out to the rest of the domains or DCs that you have in your forest. So I'd share that. And then I thought I'd talk about this. This is showing how Azure Active Directory really is becoming more business critical because, and for us at Quest at least, because of third-party applications. That application data, do you guys know that if you delete a user account in Azure AD, that his access to those applications is lost, even if you restore them from the Azure AD recycle bin? So this was pretty compelling to you, right? I'll bring up the next slide.
Yeah. So this was a big deal. You know, we have a lot of resiliency tools, or kind of like the life insurance tools in place. And in the event, we have like FSMA role failures or anything like that. But when we went into Azure AD, that kind of changed the paradigm significantly because all of a sudden, we take for granted that you synchronize whatever you want from your on-premise environment up to Azure AD, and you use AAD sync. But the applications that are authenticating against Azure AD don't necessarily know that, or they don't really care from an architectural perspective that you're running a sync. So, your application IDs are very critical. So one of the key things that we were looking at is, conditional access policy rules. If this gets deleted, we couldn't restore using the recycle bin. That was a big deal. We wanted to make sure we have that capability. The other one is SharePoint and OneDrive permissions. Big SharePoint shop. I mean, huge SharePoint shop and OneDrive, to say the least. So every single employee in the company uses OneDrive. So those capabilities, they're not natively available from the Microsoft toolset. So for that, ODR, or I like to call it RMAS, Recovery Manager for Azure AD, or ODR stands for?
On-demand recovery.
There you go.
All of our SaaS solutions are on-demand something.
Yeah.
On-demand recovery.
Gives us that capability. So it puts us at ease to know that, all right, well, if I go to sleep tonight, and somebody across, across the ocean does something bad, I know I could recover very quickly. And it's just a couple of clicks of a button and we're good.
So I got a couple minutes. I'm just going to talk a little about Norsk Hydro. How many people are familiar with Norsk Hydro and the ransomware attack they had last March? Right? Anyone? Nobody? I don't see any hands raised. Wow. Oh, a couple. Okay, so Norsk Hydro is an aluminum company. They had a ransomware attack happened on March 19th. It was March 19th, where their environment was, their Active Directory on-prem was encrypted. But they stayed very public as to what was going on, and they used their Facebook accounts and kept the community at large, not just their customer base, but the community at large, up to date on what they were doing. They never paid the ransom. Their bottom line was something like $52 million US. One of my colleagues just talked with them, and apparently it was worse than that, but that's what they publicly released. But one of the things that saved them was when Active Directory became corrupt, Azure AD was still in place, right? And so they were still able to do that communication using their Azure AD accounts. No synchronization was happening anymore. So here's why I share this. Mark my words. Attacks are going to get smarter. And my bet is that accounts are going to get deleted from Active Directory before the whole environment gets encrypted. And that way, those accounts will sync up to Azure AD, and they'll be gone in Azure AD too. And it's going to be uglier. So yeah, protecting your Azure AD environment is business critical in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, we talked about the evolution of security going from perimeter security, where your firewall is kind of like your holy grail to start your security practice, to being more towards identity security. Well, the new firewall today is really conditional access policy in the Azure AD world, in an IDaaS environment. You build that, that logic, and you want to keep evolving that logic within your conditional access policy rules, because identity is going to be everywhere. You're going to have that certificate on your PC. You're going to have that user ID with the certificate and MFA. So you're going to have multi-factor authentications. That device is going to be registered with your Azure AD. So those combinations are really what are going to be driving the industry moving forward. I totally agree with attacks are going to get smarter. I haven't heard yet of an attack that broke multi-factor authentication, with one exception of a SIM hijacking, but that's an exception versus kind of the rule. But yeah, I mean, you have to start thinking as your conditional access policy is the new gateway, the new frontier for security in your infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's in a nutshell what we had to share. So thank you everybody for your time. I wanted to just shameless plug. Talk about our booth. We'd love for you to come by. We're giving some good giveaways away. Booth 2149 on the floor. We're right on the main highway. So come see us. Get a t-shirt if you didn't win one today. We are going to do another presentation tomorrow at 1 p.m. And I forget what theater that's in. Theater 7. Oh, office hours are at 1. The session with Sean Metcalf. And if you don't know who Sean Metcalf is, go look him up. Amazing guy. I was at a presentation, a seminar last year, and 3 presenters recognized him in the audience and gave him a big thank you from the stage. That's how important Sean is. He's going to be speaking for us at 12:40 in Theater 7, and then he'll be at our booth at 1 o'clock, so come see him. And if you have the chance, come join us for Quest Fest. If you haven't registered yet, you can try to do that. If you can't seem to register, come by the booth and see if we have any more tickets for Quest Fest. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, Chafic.